Before her diagnosis, everyone called her difficult. Her daughter thought she had become selfish. Her husband thought she had stopped caring about him. Her grandchildren were told to just ignore grandma when she is being rude. Nobody knew they were watching a disease unfold, not a personality. Here is the truth families rarely hear until it is too late. Dementia does not just steal memory. Long before someone forgets a name, it can quietly rewrite who they seem to be. And because the brain damage is invisible, families do the only thing that makes sense to them. They blame the person. They scold them. They pull away from them. They call it bad behavior, when it was never a choice at all. Today we are breaking down 6 personality changes caused by dementia and Alzheimer's. Changes so easily mistaken for rudeness, laziness, or stubbornness that entire families spend years feeling angry at someone who was already sick. Stay with me through all 6, because number 4 is the one that hurts families the most, and almost nobody is warned about it in advance. Welcome back. I am glad you are here, because understanding these changes is one of the most healing things a family can do. Here is what most people do not realize. Personality change is not a side effect of dementia. In many cases, it is one of the earliest signs, showing up months or even years before memory problems become obvious. That means families are often living through these changes without any framework for understanding them. They just see someone they love acting differently, and they interpret it the only way they know how, as a choice. This matters enormously, because the interpretation changes everything. If you believe someone is choosing to be difficult, you respond with frustration, correction, and distance. If you understand it is the disease speaking, you respond with patience, structure, and compassion. Same behavior, completely different outcome, for both of you. Let's go through all 6 changes. By the end of this video, you will be able to recognize these patterns instantly, in your own family, and respond in a way that protects your relationship instead of damaging it. Change 1. Apathy mistaken for laziness. The first change is apathy, and it is one of the most misunderstood symptoms in all of dementia care. He used to garden every weekend. He used to call his brother every Sunday without fail. Then, slowly, he just stopped. He would sit in the same chair for hours, uninterested in hobbies he had loved for decades. His family called him lazy. They accused him of giving up. They tried tough love, pushing him to get up, get moving, get involved. But apathy in dementia is not laziness. It is not depression either, though the two are often confused. Apathy comes from damage to the brain's frontal lobe, the region responsible for initiating action and generating motivation. The desire to do things does not disappear because the person stopped caring. It disappears because the circuit that produces the urge to start an activity has been damaged. He may still love gardening in his heart. He may simply no longer be able to generate the spark that gets him out of the chair. Families who understand this stop saying get up and do something, and start saying do this together right now, because apathy responds to gentle initiation, not motivation speeches. Change 2. Disinhibition mistaken for rudeness. The second change is disinhibition, blurting out comments that seem shockingly rude, inappropriate, or embarrassing. A mother who spent 60 years being polite suddenly comments loudly on a stranger's wait in the grocery store. A father who never swore in front of his grandchildren starts using language that makes the whole room go silent. Family members are mortified. They whisper that he has turned mean in his old age. But this is not meanness. It is neurological. The brain has a built-in filter that stops us from saying every thought that crosses our mind. That filter lives in the frontal lobe, and in certain types of dementia, especially frontotemporal dementia, it is one of the very first things to break down. The thought was always there. Every brain generates stray, socially inappropriate thoughts. A healthy brain catches them before they reach the mouth. A damaged frontal lobe simply cannot catch them anymore. Blame and correction rarely help here, because you cannot shame a broken filter into repairing itself. What actually helps is redirecting the moment calmly, and preparing companions in advance for situations, like restaurants or family gatherings, where impulsive comments are more likely. Change 3. Repetition mistaken for attention-seeking. The third change is repetition, asking the same question or telling the same story again and again within minutes. "Where's Dad?" she asks. You answer. 90 seconds later, "Where's Dad?" again and again. Exhausted family members often assume this is intentional, a bid for attention, a way to keep everyone hovering close. It is not. Repetition happens because short-term memory is one of the earliest functions damaged in Alzheimer's disease specifically. She is not choosing to ignore your answer. In many cases, the memory of asking the question and of hearing the answer is gone within seconds. Each time she asks, it genuinely feels like the first time she has asked it. This is one of the hardest patterns for families to sit with emotionally, because it tests patience like almost nothing else. But answering with the same warmth each time, rather than snapping "I already told you 5 times, is not indulgence. It is meeting a person exactly where their memory now lives. If you have experienced this with someone you love, drop a comment below and let us know which change on this list you recognized first. Your story might be exactly what another family needs to read today. And wait, change number 4 is the one that hurts families the most, because it turns the person providing the most care into the person being accused. Stay with me. Change 4. Suspicion mistaken for accusation. The 4th change is suspicion. Sudden and often painful accusations that someone is stealing from them, lying to them, or plotting against them. A husband of 40 years is accused of having an affair. A devoted daughter is accused of stealing her mother's jewelry that was simply misplaced. These accusations can feel like betrayal in reverse. The caregiver did nothing wrong, yet they are being treated like a criminal by the very person they are sacrificing everything to protect. This symptom is called a delusion, and it is extremely common in moderate-stage dementia. It happens because the brain, unable to reliably track where objects were placed or reconstruct recent events accurately, fills memory gaps with explanations that feel logical to a damaged mind. "I can't find my ring" becomes, internally, "someone must have taken it," because that explanation feels more coherent than "my own memory failed me," which the brain can no longer even conceive of as the answer. Arguing logic against a delusion almost never works, because the delusion is not a logic problem, it is a memory problem, wearing logic's clothing. What helps far more is validating the emotion, "That sounds really upsetting," while gently helping search for the item together. Change 5. Emotional blunting mistaken for coldness. The 5th change is emotional blunting, a flattening of emotional response that can look, heartbreakingly, like a loss of love. A wife stops reacting when her husband walks in the door after being away for days. A mother shows no visible joy at her grandchild's birth announcement, the moment she used to say she had waited her whole life for. Family members often describe this as the most painful change of all, because it can feel like the person has simply stopped loving them. But emotional blunting is a measurable neurological symptom, particularly common in frontotemporal and later-stage Alzheimer's dementia. The brain regions responsible for generating and expressing emotional reactions are damaged, even when the underlying attachment and love may still exist beneath the surface. The feeling and the expression of the feeling are processed by different brain systems, and dementia can sever the connection between them. This does not mean love is gone. It means the outward signal of it has been damaged. Like a radio with a broken speaker still receiving a signal, it can no longer play out loud. Change 6. Rigid routines mistaken for stubbornness. The 6th and final change is rigidity, an intense, sometimes explosive insistence on doing things exactly the same way every time. The same seat at the table, the same route to the store, the same 3 shirts in the same rotation. Deviate even slightly, and a person who was once easygoing can become distressed, anxious, or even aggressive. Families often label this as controlling or stubborn, especially if the person was previously flexible and mild-mannered. In reality, rigid routines are often a coping mechanism the damaged brain builds for itself. As memory and executive function decline, the world becomes genuinely harder to predict and navigate. Routine creates the one thing the brain can still reliably hold on to: certainty. When that routine breaks, it is not stubbornness reacting, it is a person losing the one anchor they have left in a world that is becoming less familiar to them every day. The kindest response is not to force flexibility. It is to protect the routines that give safety and introduce any necessary changes as slowly and gently as possible. Let me speak directly to you for a moment. Whether you are recognizing these changes in someone you love right now, or simply equipping yourself with knowledge before you need it, what you have learned today matters. You now know that apathy is not laziness, that disinhibition is not rudeness, that repetition is not attention-seeking, that suspicion is not a personal attack, that emotional blunting does not mean love is gone, and that rigid routines are not stubbornness, but a search for safety in a world that no longer feels predictable. This knowledge changes how you respond, and in caregiving, the way you respond is often the single biggest factor in how peaceful, or how painful each day becomes, for both of you. Here is your action from today. The next time one of these 6 behaviors shows up, pause before you react. Ask yourself, is this the person, or is this the disease speaking through the person? That one pause can change the entire moment. If this video helped you see someone you love a little more clearly, please hit the like button. It helps this reach the families who need to hear it before the next hard moment happens. Subscribe so you never miss a video in this series. We cover everything from early warning signs to caregiving strategies to the science behind Alzheimer's disease. Share this video with someone who is caring for a parent, spouse, or grandparent right now. It could change how they see tomorrow's hardest moment. Drop a comment below. Which of these 6 changes have you lived through? I read every comment, and your story may be exactly what another family needs to hear today. Thank you for being here. You are doing something powerful by staying informed. I will see you in the next one.